The cries of dying alien worms were agonizingly loud as the human canine units tore into them, in what would later become known as the Battle of Galtos Prime. Sergeant Kyde huddled with his new recruit Zorel in their dimly lit bunker as it shook from the latest human bombardment. The grizzled veteran picked at his plasma rifle with a cleaning tool, a wry smile on his face. The hairless monkeys actually think they're going to take this planet with their caveman shit, he spat on the floor. Zorel looked up from his ration pack, a hint of worry on his reptilian face. But Sarge, I heard the Pinkies already captured the capital. They say the human warriors never quit, no matter what. Kyde let out a harsh laugh. Bullcrap. Just new meat being all dramatic. I've scrapped with these humans plenty. They're soft and stupid. Nothing but a bunch of gadgets strapped to squishy flesh. Mark my words, they'll tuck tail and run any minute now. Just like every other species we've stomped out. Zorel nodded, swallowing his doubts with another spoonful of nutrient slop. What about those stories of their top fighters, though? Marines and Spec Ops, or whatever they're called. The sergeant narrowed his eyes. Okay, yeah, those pricks are a bit more of a pain in the ass to deal with, but at the end of the day they still bleed red like the rest, and you know what? They care too damn much, always trying to drag their wounded to safety or protect civilians. It's downright embarrassing. Another explosion rocked the bunker, raining dust and pebbles from the ceiling. Kyde got to his feet and snatched up his rifle. Screw this chit-chat. Let's go stomp these dumb apes into paste. Zorel rose to follow, praying to the Vorta gods that his superior was right. For if the human soldiers couldn't be broken, all of Vorta Prime would surely fall to the Terran onslaught. The two Vorta soldiers tumbled out of their bunker into a hellscape ravaged by conflict. Twisted metal husks and bomb craters scarred the once pristine surface of Galtos Prime. In the distance, the chatter of human ballistics clashed discordantly with the shrill zaps of alien blasters. Zorel scanned their desolate surroundings with wide eyes as he clutched his weapon to his chest. Sarge, I don't see any... Hakeed held up a clawed hand for silence, his snout twitching. There. He gestured with his plasma rifle towards a gutted human tank. A cluster of the pale, fleshy aliens were crouched behind it, popping up to unleash short bursts of suppressive fire. A smirk spread across the grizzled veteran's muzzle. He signaled for Zorel to circle around to flank them. Watch closely, whelp. I'm about to show you why these Pinkies are so damned easy to kill. Zorel loped off to the side while Kyde lined up his first shot, the humans' hideous furless heads clearly visible in his scope. His finger curled around the trigger, ready to paint the dusty ground with their insides. Suddenly a shrill whine pierced the air, the pitch far higher than any plasma blast. The sound rattled Kyde's nerves and set his teeth on edge. He hesitated. Sarge? Zorel called out, his voice wavering. What is that, some new Terran weapon? Kyde shook his head slowly, a chill prickling up his spine, as primal fear clawed at his guts. No, something far worse. He swallowed hard. Dogs. As if summoned by his dread, a pack of nightmarish beasts surged onto the battlefield in a furious tide of teeth, claws, and bristling fur. Each monster wore armor plating and a helmet, with mysterious devices fused to their backs. The humans erupted into raucous cheers as the abominations bounded towards the Vorta forces. By the gods, Zorel breathed, his voice barely audible over the clamor. The beasts moved like lightning, traversing rubble and craters with sickening agility, as they effortlessly evaded the plasma bolts sizzling past. Within seconds, they reached the Vorta front line and fell upon the soldiers in a frenzied storm of carnage. Agonized screams tore through the air as the monster's powerful jaws snapped limbs like twigs and pulverized bones into splinters. Kyde squeezed off wild shots at the nightmarish dogs, but they flowed around his blasts like water, always instinctively sensing his aim. A lone beast peeled away from the pack to charge him head-on, a flashing red light upon its back searing his retinas. "Move!" Kyde roared at Zorel. But it was already too late. The demon dog launched itself through the air, the device on its haunches erupting into a miniature sun of heat and shrapnel. The shockwave lifted the two Vorta soldiers off their feet and slammed them into the dirt, their charred armor belching smoke. Zoril dragged himself up on quivering limbs, his shell-shocked gaze sweeping across the devastation. All around them, the Vorta line buckled and shattered as soldiers turned tail to flee the unholy canines. The humans pressed their attack without mercy, scything down stragglers in droves. What in the hell's just happened? Zoril stammered. Keed staggered upright, hacking up bloody phlegm. Dogs, he spat. The Terran's cruelest weapon, perfectly obedient, ruthlessly efficient, born and bred for slaughter. We never had a chance. He slung an arm around Zoril, and together they hobbled back towards the relative safety of the bunker, the baying of hounds and the shrieks of the dying hounding their retreat. Zoril shuddered at the thought of a mere animal being able to sniff out their advanced cloaking technology. He handed Cade a water canteen as he pondered the implications. The grizzled veteran took a long swig, his claws clicking against the metal. But Sarge, if the humans can train their dogs to do all that, what's stopping them from making them even deadlier? Strapping on more weapons, enhancing them with cybernetics? Zoril's voice wavered with barely contained dread. Cade grunted as he shifted on the bench, his wounds aching. Don't give them any ideas, rookie. The damned pinkies are clever enough as it is. Last thing we need is for them to start breeding super soldier pups in a lab somewhere. Zoril's snout wrinkled in disgust at the thought. Do you think that's why they're winning, because of their bond with those beasts? The sergeant paused, considering the question. It's part of it, sure. But there's more to humans than just their love of furry companions. They're tenacious, resilient, and they never give up. Even when the odds are stacked against them, they find a way to adapt and overcome. Keed's gaze grew distant, as if recalling a memory. You know, I once saw a human soldier drag his wounded comrade across a battlefield through a hail of plasma fire. Most species would have left their fallen behind, but not the humans. They have this saying, no man left behind. It's like a code they live by. Zoril leaned forward, his eyes wide with a mix of fear and awe. So what do we do, Sarge? How do we beat an enemy like that? Keed sighed, his shoulders sagging under the weight of the question. I wish I knew, rookie. We've underestimated the humans at every turn, and it's cost us dearly. All I know is that we can't afford to make that mistake again. We need to be smarter, more adaptable, just like them. The ground rumbled beneath their feet, and a fresh wave of explosions echoed from beyond the bunker walls. Keed pushed himself to his feet, ignoring the stabbing pain in his side. Speaking of adapting, we'd better come up with a new plan fast. Those dogs may have won this round, but the battle's far from over. Zoril nodded, his resolve hardening. He checked his weapon, making sure the plasma chamber was fully charged. What are your orders, Sergeant? Cade's eyes glinted with a mix of determination and fear. For now we hold the line. We dig in, fortify our defenses, and pray to the gods that the humans run out of tricks before we run out of soldiers. He clapped a hand on Zoril's shoulder. But if those dogs come knocking again, you'd better be ready to run like hell. No shame in living to fight another day. With that, the two Vorta soldiers stepped out of the bunker, back into the fray. The smoke-filled skies of Galtos Prime rumbled with the sounds of war, a grim reminder of the price they were paying for underestimating Earth and its loyal canine companions. Zoril leaned back against the cold metal wall of the bunker, his mind whirling with the revelations Keed had shared. He turned to the grizzled veteran, his brow furrowed in confusion. But Sarge, if the humans have such a powerful weapon in their dogs, why haven't they used them more extensively? Why not unleash an army of these creatures and overrun our defenses completely? Keed shook his head, a knowing smile playing at the corners of his mouth. It's not that simple, rookie. The humans are strange creatures, with a way of thinking that's hard for us to grasp. They have a deep bond with their dogs, a connection that goes beyond mere utility. To them, dogs aren't just expendable weapons to be thrown at the enemy. They're living, breathing companions, friends even. The humans are selective about when and how they deploy them in battle. Zoril frowned, still not fully understanding. But surely they realize the tactical advantage they have. Why hold back at all? If they truly want to win, wouldn't they use every weapon at their disposal? Keed sighed, his eyes taking on a distant look as if recalling memories from long ago. "You don't understand the human mind, Zor-El. They have this thing called ethics, a code of morality that governs their actions, even in war. They believe in minimizing suffering even for their enemies. As much as they want to win, they won't send their beloved dogs into a slaughter if they can help it." Zor-El scoffed, the concept utterly foreign to him. "Ethics, morality, these are not the Vorta way. We fight to win, to conquer, to dominate. There is no room for sentiment or softness in war." Keed nodded slowly, his expression grave. "And that, young one, is precisely why we are losing this war. The humans fight for something greater than themselves, something beyond mere conquest or glory. They fight for their comrades, for their ideals, for their very way of life. In their eyes, they're not just soldiers following orders. They're warriors with a cause, a purpose that drives them forward against all odds." Zor-El fell silent, Keed's words sinking in like a heavy weight upon his chest. He had always been taught that the Vorta were superior, that their strength lay in their single-minded pursuit of victory at any cost. But now, faced with an enemy that defied all he had ever known, he began to question everything. The ground shook beneath their feet as another explosion rocked the bunker, showering them with dust and debris. The sounds of battle grew closer, the chatter of human weapons and the sizzle of plasma fire echoing through the confined space. Cade pushed himself to his feet with a grunt, wincing at the pain from his wounds. "We can't stay here any longer. The humans will be upon us soon. We need to regroup with the rest of our forces and plan our next move." Zor-El nodded, gathering his gear with trembling hands. "But what can we do against an enemy like this? If they can turn even mere beasts into loyal soldiers, what chance do we really have?" Keed placed a clawed hand on Zor-El's shoulder, his grip firm and reassuring. "We do what we've always done, rookie. We adapt, we evolve, we find a way to win. The Vorta have conquered 1,000 worlds, brought countless species to heal. We will not be undone by a pack of primitives and their pets." Zor-El took a deep breath, steeling himself for the battles to come. He met Keed's gaze, a newfound determination burning in his eyes. "You're right, Sergeant. We are the Vorta. We will find a way, no matter the cost." Together, they stepped out of the bunker and into the war-torn hellscape of Galtos Prime, ready to face whatever challenges the humans and their loyal dogs might bring. The smoke-filled sky rumbled with the sounds of distant artillery, and the ground beneath their feet was slick with the blood of the fallen. But even in the face of such overwhelming odds, they held fast to their resolve, determined to fight on until the bitter end. The acrid stench of smoke and plasma choked the air, as Cade and Zor-El picked their way through the smouldering ruins. Once proud buildings lay crumbled, their gleaming facades now scorched and pitted. The ground was a maze of rubble and debris, broken only by the twisted remains of war machines and the fallen bodies of soldiers from both sides. As they rounded a corner, Cade pulled up short, his breath catching in his throat. Before them lay a scene of utter devastation. Dozens of Vorta soldiers sprawled motionless, their armor shredded and their flesh torn. But it was the sight of the dogs, the humans' loyal companions, that gave Keed pause. They too lay among the dead, their fur matted with blood, their sightless eyes staring into oblivion. Cade approached one of the fallen hounds, his steps heavy with a newfound respect. He knelt beside the still form, his gaze drawn to the glint of metal at its neck. With a trembling hand, he reached out and lifted the tag, the fading light catching the inscription etched into its surface. "Max," he read aloud, his voice thick with emotion, "loyal friend and soldier." Zor-El joined him, confusion etched into his reptilian features. "I don't understand," he said. "Why would they give their beast a name, and why honor it with a title?" Keed rose to his feet, the weight of realization pressing down upon him. "Because to the humans these dogs are more than just beasts," he said, his voice heavy with understanding. "They're individuals, each with their own personality, their own story. They mourn them as they would any fallen comrade." Zor-El shook his head, the concept alien to his Vorta sensibilities. "It still seems like a weakness to me, to care so much for a lesser creature." Cade turned to face his subordinate, his eyes hard with conviction. That's where you're wrong, rookie. It's not a weakness, it's a strength. The humans fight harder because they have something to fight for. They don't just conquer, they protect. They don't just destroy, they defend. Zor-El fell silent, the weight of Cade's words sinking in like a stone. In the distance, the sound of human voices carried on the wind, shouting orders and calling out to one another. The battle was far from over. Cade cast one last glance at the fallen dog, a flicker of respect in his eyes. "We have to keep moving," he said, his voice grim with determination. "The war's not over yet." As they pressed on, picking their way through the rubble-strewn streets, Zor-El couldn't shake the image of the dead hound from his mind. He thought of the bond between human and beast, of the loyalty and sacrifice that drove them both to fight and die together. And for the first time a flicker of doubt crept into his heart, a question that gnawed at the very foundations of his beliefs. "Sergeant," he said quietly, his voice almost lost amid the distant sounds of battle, "do you think we've underestimated the humans?" Cade was silent for a long moment, his eyes distant with the weight of centuries of conquest and bloodshed. When at last he spoke, his voice was heavy with the burden of understanding. "I think we've underestimated a lot of things, rookie. The humans, their dogs, the strength of their convictions. We thought we were invincible, that nothing could stand in the way of Vorta dominance. But perhaps we were wrong." Zor-El nodded, a newfound respect for his enemy taking root in his heart. "So what do we do now?" Cade sighed, the sound of a warrior faced with an uncertain future. "We fight on as we always have, but perhaps when this war is over, we'll look back and see that the real victory belonged to the humans and their loyal dogs, for they have shown us the true meaning of courage, sacrifice, and unbreakable bonds. And that, rookie, is a lesson worth learning, even for a Vorta." You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.